What? Everyone doesn't instantly relate to this wild life of crime? What? That was a line I was not prepared to read.
I know.
Welcome to Season 2 of the KidLit Craft podcast. We had so much fun last season deconstructing Martine Levitt's YA novel, Buffalo Flats. We decided to do it all over again. And this season, we're taking a deep dive into Kavyion Lewis's YA novel, Thieves Gambit.
It's been described as the Inheritance Games meets Ocean's 11. So yeah, pretty much the opposite of Buffalo Flats. And I am really excited to dive into it.
I'm Anne-Marie Stroman, and I write for children and young adults, as well as short stories for adults. And I am here with
Erin Nuttall. Hello, everyone. I also write for children and young adults, and I like to focus on young adults.
On KidLit Craft, we take a look at mentor text to discover the mechanics of how writers do what they do so we can apply it to our own writing. And if you're curious about our backstory and how this podcast came to be, you can check out the first episode of our Buffalo Flats first season, where we tell you all about how we know each other.
That's right. It's such a tiresome story. We can only tell it once.
The magic of recording. So, Erin, tell us about Thieves Gambit. What is it about?
Well, it is a really fun book. And in Thieves Gambit, Rosalind Quest comes from a long line of international super thieves. So, not the girl next door. She's her mom's partner in this high-octane life, but Ross wants nothing more than to be a regular kid doing regular things. Everything changes for Ross when her mom gets kidnapped and held for $1 billion ransom.
$1 billion? That's a lot of dollars.
That is a lot of dollars, but everything in this book is pumped up, and that is part of what makes it so fun. To save her mom, Ross accepts an invitation to join the Thieves Gambit competition, where the winner gets a wish. And so you can imagine she's going to wish for that $1 billion / her mom being free. It turns out that the Gambit is a series of puzzles, tests, and heists where she competes against the best of the best teen thieves in the world. And you might think, well, how many teen thieves are there? Apparently, there is enough to have an elite squad who compete in this Gambit, which is also super fun. I always like it when you have a big group of kids. The competition takes the kids all over the world as they face off with lots of impossible tasks, each trying to outdo the others to win the coveted wish. Mixed in with this fast-paced thrill ride, Ross is figuring out her wonderful and complicated relationship with her mom, which adds a layer of complexity that deepens the story and makes Ross a more relatable character.
What? Everyone doesn't instantly relate to this wild life of crime? What? That was a line I was not prepared to read.
I know. When I put it in there, I thought, oh, Anne-Marie's going to love these little interludes where she interjects her surprise.
So this book, you've described it as high octane. We have extremes. We have unrelatable characters, thief families. But Ross is at her core a human teen who wants what a lot of human teens want, which is safety, family, love.
Oh, I was going to say to break away from their mom.
Oh, yeah. Also that.
Yeah.
Also that.
That's been my experience with my teens.
So, Erin, why did you choose this book?
I read a lot of thrillers, and I've started writing a thriller of my own. And selfishly, I wanted to figure out what makes them tick so I can get better at writing mine. And when I read The Thieves Gambit, it was such a fun and exciting read, and it ticked so many boxes in what a good thriller should be. So I think we were halfway through Buffalo Flats, and I was already thinking about how we can take Thieves Gambit and tear it apart and figure out what makes it work.
I took this book on my vacation, and it was a perfect vacation read. It was so fun, so energetic, and I kept putting my own notes in the back of the book, even though you're the one who's leading the content on this, about things I want to talk about in this book, because Kavyion Lewis does so many things in such an excellent way. So since you get to decide, though, why don't you tell us about some of the topics we're going to be talking about this season?
Oh, for sure. I'm glad I have that power. Some of the topics we'll be diving into in season 2 are introducing a big group of characters, shifting desire lines, complicated family dynamics, how to write an action scene, how to plan a heist, which I'm super excited for those episodes because those make for fun reading, but only if they're done well. And a whole bunch more. There was so much to learn from this book. I'm super excited.
So I hope you will also have a romance in thriller episode as well.
Obviously, we will be talking about romance because that is what makes teen literature tick.
So, Erin, in the last season, we stayed away from spoilers in our first 3 episodes. Are we going to do that this time?
Nope. Sorry. There's so much going on in this book that it was impossible to stay away from spoilers. So be warned. Starting next episode, we'll be talking about anything and everything.
So should people read the book before listening? Or do they have to?
Well, that's up to you. If it were me, I'd totally read the book first just so I could get a baseline for my own opinions and generally know what's going on. And even though it's just over 350 pages, just over, it's not short, but it is a fast read. It has a lot going on. It's paced for speed. There's lots of great page turners. But that's me. That's how I roll. It's completely okay to read at your own pace as we go, or even wait to read it until we're done. Whatever serves you best.
So I'm really excited to talk about Thieves Gambit in detail, and I can hardly wait until our first official episode. Where will we be starting?
Get ready for theme. Theme is something that we don't often talk about as writers, but it's what helps a story to feel unified and cohesive. Books often start and end with them, so we'll start there too.
Great. I'm ready for this. Are you ready, Erin?
I am so ready. I am so excited. I just can't wait to nerd out with all of my writer friends here on the podcast.
So consider this your invitation to Thieves Gambit, and we will be starting our first episode soon. That's it for today. If you're enjoying this podcast, you can find more content like this at kidlitcraft.com. Find us on social media at KidLitCraft, and you can support this podcast on Patreon. We've also got t-shirts and drinkware and tote bags. You can find them at Cotton Bureau. There'll be a link in the show notes.
Please download episodes, like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and let your writer friends know about the podcast. We can't wait to nerd out with you.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Bye. Just so you know, it's not the Thieves Gambit. It's just Thieves Gambit.
It's not?
Yes.
Really?
And yes. So I...
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.